Morning to have here with us the Secretary of the Department of Justice, Vitaliano Aguirre II. Prior to joining the President's Cabinet, Secretary Aguirre was already a familiar face to our people because of the many prominent cases that he handled, like the Mama Sapano clash in Maguindanao, where he was the legal counsel of the SAF, Chief General Napenas, and private prosecutor of the prosecution panel of the House of Representatives during the impeachment case of Chief Justice Renato Corona, the Hubert Webb case, Senator Ping Lacson, and Justice Bienvenido Reyes, among others. Secretary Aguirre was just telling me that they were classmates with the President, but I think he finished earlier. All right, but ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, I know you want to know a lot of things from our resource person today, so without much further ado, Secretary Aguirre, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Abella. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I was invited by a good spokesman this morning, and I'm sorry that I requested that this briefing be held earlier because of a very important meeting with Executive Secretary and Secretary Dominguez at 12 o'clock. So if you have any question or clarification, then I hope I'll be able to clarify or make some comment about it.
All right, the floor is now open for questions. Yes, sir. Good morning, Secretary.
Sir,
Yes, from Net 25 first.
Secretary Vic Sumintak from Net25 and DCEC. Okay. Sir, dito sa case building natin kay Senadora Laila de Lima, kagabi po sa isang media gathering with the President, nabanggit din po niya na very vital witness si Ronnie Dayan, na inamin naman ni Senadora de Lima na driver lover niya. Kumusta po ang manhunt operation ng Department of Justice kay Ronnie Dayan?
Actually po, during the height of the congressional hearing, in connection with the Bucor high-profile inmates, mga drug lords natin sa loob ng Bilibid, talagang NBI conducted a manhunt for Ronnie Dayan in view of the warrant of arrest issued by the Congress, by the House of Representatives, because he was declared as in contempt of Congress. So lahat talagang ginawa ng NBI, that apparently we were unsuccessful in doing so. We were told that the Ronnie Dayan is being protected by some high public officials in his home province of Pangasinan and other northern provinces up to Baguio. Diyan siya nagtatago, diyan siya papalipat-lipat. But I hope that with the 1 million pesos reward for whoever will be instrumental in the arrest of Ronnie Dayan, palagay ko malaki ang mangyaring epekto niyan. And hopefully we'll be able to get him.
Sir, balita namin bukas darating na rin si Kerwin Espinosa.
Ganun din po ang balita ko.
Okay.
That's right.
So, meron po ba kayong coordination na with PNP? Gagamitin nyo bang testigo rin si Kerwin Espinosa against Senator Laila de Lima?
Actually, sa kaliliwanag lang nitong napakalaking problema natin sa droga, welcome pong lahat ang gustong makipagtulungan para ating maparusahan itong mga malalaking mga public officials involved in the drug trade. Kaya we were offering the protection of the WPP to Kerwin Espinosa, even to Ronnie Dayan, as long as they are cooperative and that they will be qualified to be accepted, to be admitted under our witness protection program. Kaya po't pagdating niyan si Kerwin, then na susunduin at will be accompanied by the PNP officials. At pupunta po yan dyan sa custodial center sa Crame. And dun po muna siguro siya. But I have written General Bato that if ever any assistance is needed in connection with the protective custody of Kerwin, then the NBI is willing to provide such protection. In view of the fact that the NBI is the attached agency, our police agency na nakatat sa DOJ, and in view of the wish of Kerwin to be put under the Witness Protection Program per letter of our ambassador sa UAE. Kaya't kinausap ko na rin si General Bato dyan na in the event na dumating si Kerwin dito sa atin, kung pwede, makapagpadala kami ng some prosecutors and some agents of the NBI to help or to assist in the investigation of Kerwin.
One last point, Secretary. Based on the testimonial evidence, saka mga documentary evidence sigurong nakalap na ng Department of Justice against Senator Laila de Lima, si Presidente Duterte po ay gustong-gusto nang makasuhan si Senadora Laila de Lima on the illegal drug trade sa New Bilibid Prison. Ang makakatulong niyo sana ay yung Office of the Ombudsman. Bakit po kaya ang Office of the Ombudsman mukhang walang planong kasuhan si Senadora Laila de Lima, Secretary?
Opo, yun ang pronouncement ni Ombudsman, hindi po ba? That after the congressional hearing, despite napakaraming testigo laban sa kanya, including the two NBI officials na nagsabi na in two instances, tumanggap si Secretary de Lima and si Ronnie Dayan doon sa bahay nila, diyan sa Parañaque, ng tigli 5 milyong piso. But to the Ombudsman, ay hindi pa ito sufficient. But, hindi ko malaman kung ano ang, because parang ang sinasabi niya noon is that these are mere allegations. Palagay ko, hindi lang mere allegations, these are accusations, although testimonial evidence lamang. Pero whether it is testimonial evidence, these are evidence against somebody for being charged of the violation of the Dangerous Drugs Act.
All right, next question.
Kaya hindi ko po alam kung bakit niya sinasabi. I believe that it is the Ombudsman herself who could explain her stand. But since the Department of Justice and the Ombudsman have concurrent jurisdiction, mabuti lang may concurrent. So despite the resistance from the Ombudsman to investigate Secretary or Senator de Lima, the Department of Justice has received 4 complaints. The 4th one, yung NBI, against Secretary de Lima. So, since we have concurrent jurisdiction, meaning to say that this kind of cases could be investigated or could be heard in preliminary investigation by the Ombudsman and by the Department of Justice at the same time. So, we are continuing our preliminary investigation in connection with these charges.
Next question, Tuesday New of DZBB.
Hi, sir. Good morning po.
Morning.
Sir, speaking of Witness Protection Program, Senator Lacson said na mas makabubuti po sana kung wala munang iaalok ang Department of Justice na isailalim si Kerwin Espinosa sa Witness Protection Program. Kuhanan na muna siya ng mga testimonya para daw po lumabas na wala siyang pagkakautangan ng loob na hindi lang papabor sa pamahalaan kung sino man yung sasabihin niya dahil under na siya ng Witness Protection Program kapag inuna na siyang i-offer nito. What is your take on that, sir?
Well, mayroong punto si Senator Lacson and I respect his point. But siyempre, ang makakasagot niyan or makapag-desisyon dyan ay yung mismong may katawan. Ano ang kagustuhan ni Kerwin pagdating niya dito? Ganun ba sa kagustuhan ni Senator Lacson? Or ang gusto niya to be able to be put under the protection of the Witness Protection Program in view of what happened to his father? we were told that Kerwin was very much fearful for his life as well as the lives of uh, his common law wife and children. Kaya pag ang hindi immediate ang ginawang protection ng witness protection program, baka siguro sa loob sa kanyang kanyang opinion baka hindi masyado silang maprotektahan. Kasi pag nasabihan sa akin na hindi lamang yung sarili niya kundi pati yung parang may common law wife siya plus about 3 minor children. He was very fearful for their lives in view of what happened to the father.
Yes, sir. Another follow-up, sir. Since hindi po makita si Ronnie Dayan, magiging sufficient na po ba yung testimonya ni Kerwin pagdating niya rito, kahit hindi na natin makuhanan ng mga pahayag itong si Dayan?
Actually, even without Dayan's testimony, even without Kerwin's testimony, sufficient na. Sobra-sobra na nga pagdating sa testimonial evidence. But considering that we are strengthening the case, parang yung sinasabi ko noon, that we would want to file an airtight case, every single additional evidence, we welcome it.
Last on my part, sir. Yung case po ba na yan, maisasampaw na po natin at least bago matapos ang taon na ito?
Last Friday, ang ginawa ko, nag-issue na ako ng department order consolidating all 4 cases filed against De Lima and other respondents. Ngayon, with respect to the detail on how the 5-man panel of formed by the Department of Justice to preliminary investigate this case, pinaubaya ko na po yan dun sa 5-man panel. Kasi ayaw ko naman po lumabas na at makita o ma-observe ng mga tao na yung mga detalyadong gagawin ng 5-man panel, pinakikialman pa ng Department of Justice, ng Secretary of Justice. Kaya tiyan po, kung if ever you have any further question about how they are going to conduct the preliminary investigation, how much time will be given to them in order to file their counter affidavits, doon na po tayo pumunta sa 5-man panel.
Any more questions? Rosalie Cos of UNTV.
Good morning, sir. Tanong lang po namin kung meron na po tayong initial finding po dun po sa sinubmit ng AMLAC na financial records, bank transactions with regards po kay De Lima and other drug lords po.
Doon po sa first request ng ginawa ng NBI, sapagkat po dito, ang merong memorandum of agreement is between the NBI and the AMLAC. Wala pong memorandum of agreement ang AMLAC with the DOJ. Kaya ang magre-request niyan ay NBI at ganun nga ang nangyari. Nagkaroon ng first request, nagkaroon naman ng answer or reply ang AMLAC. And nung unang request po ay binigyan naman ng mga factual information ang NBI. Nagkaroon lang po ng problema sa second request. Ang second request ng NBI ay tungkol dun sa mga narco generals na September 19 pa po nag-request yun. So natagalan po. Ang gusto kasi natin kung ano man ang information or facts na magagather dun sa answer or sa reply ng AMLAC, ay sana maisama ng NBI dun sa ipafile nila na complaint against De Lima and Company. Pero sa tagal ng paghihintay nila, ay hindi na sila nakapaghintay at nag-decide ng NBI na i-file na at i-pursue na lamang yung kanilang request kung naka-file na. Kasi pag naka-file ng kaso, then mas malaya na makapanghingi ng informasyon ng NBI and even they could request some information from the banks. Kaya po, nung September 19 pa yung second request Pero nung mag-speech si President Duterte nung anniversary ng NBI nung 3 days ago, hindi pa po sinasagot ng AMLAC yung September 19 second letter. November na po eh. So it's almost 2 months. Hindi naman dapat matagalan yan sapagkat yan pong mga data na hinihingi ng NBI, nandyan na yan eh. Ready-made na yan sa AMLAC. Hindi na yan i-research ng AMLAC. Nandun na yan eh. It's a question of giving the proper information to the requesting party. Kaya sa akin lang, kasi nakausap ko rin naman sila, na even without any request, as long as yung mga lumalabas sa dyaryo, halimbawa yung mga tungkol dyan sa mga narco generals na yan, o kaya tungkol dun sa mga accounts, nung bank account numbers na sinasabi dun sa mga affidavits ng mga inmates, kahit wala pong request, kinukuha na kagad nila yan eh. Kaya once na request, yung request ay dumating, dapat ready na yung mga yan eh. Kaya lang, nagtataka lang kami sapagkat hindi agad nasasagot. Kaya noong the other day, nang medyo magalit ang ating Pangulo, mga 3 o'clock on that day, I think that was November 14, 1.5 hours after, mga 4:30, pinadala po ng AMLAC sa NBI yung hinihingi nila. But that was September, October, November. Nakalagay po dun sa sagot ng AMLAC yung date, blank, walang nakalagay na petsa, November 2016. So it could have been ready already in the early days of November. Pero what happened to the October? Pinalampas nila ang October nang hindi nila sinasagot yung request ng NBI. So nabanggit ko yan kay Presidente dun sa holding room sa NBI. Sabi ko, medyo nahihirapan po kami sa AMLAC. So, parang daan lang ng kwento namin. Yung pala, sineryoso ni Presidente and alam naman niyo kung paano naging reaction niya. But we now know where he was coming from. Sapagkat matatandaan ninyo before the elections, during the campaign period, naglabas ng informasyon tong si Senator Trillanes, sinasabi na mayroon 211 million si President Duterte. So, hindi yan pinatulan ng ng AMLAC. Na ang sabi ni Presidente sa kanya lang isip, dapat yan, inimbestigahan na nila kagad at sinabi na hindi totoong meron akong 211 million. So, naliwanagan sana ang mamamayan natin, yung mambubuto natin. Kaya siguro kung nailabas yun, yung mga black propaganda na yan, na dapat siguro mas malaki pang botong nakuha ni Presidente Duterte. So I think that was where he was coming from.
Opo. Follow-up lang po, Secretary. Dun po sa sinubmit nila, nun pong Monday din po, meron na po ba tayong initial report or relevant reports na makakapagpatunay, makakapagdiin dun po sa kay Senator De Lima and the other narco generals?
Ang sa second pong hiningi ng NBI ay yung lamang sa general, yung narco generals. Meron na po yun, ano? But with respect to the other bank accounts or bank account names na lumabas during the congressional hearing, hindi pa pasundan ng NBI yun eh. Dapat sana nasundan ka agad yun eh. Kasi nga yung second hindi pa sinasagot tapos susundan mo pa ng isa nang hindi naman sinasagot yung pangalawa. So siguro I instructed some of the my officials at the DOJ na siguro follow it up immediately to ask the AMLAC about the marami yung mga bank account numbers na yon na kung saan yung mga drug lords, mga high-profile drug lords ay ini-instruct nila o may instruction sa kanila where to deposit the money or the proceeds of this drug money. And I'm sure that it will reach billions. Kaya yan po ang sabi ko sa NBI kanina na dapat pasundan ka agad ninyo.
Okay, next question from Hannah Jane Sancho.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Sir,
After po nag-submit nung report nung AMLAC po sa NBI, nagbigay po ba sila ng written explanation bakit po natagalan po sila ng pag-submit at bakit binilisan po nila yung pag-submit after po silang pinasalingan ng Pangulo po?
Walang ganun.
No explanation po. So yung sinabit po sir, lahat po related po yung kay De Lima?
Well, lahat yan related sa
And
mga,
sa
hindi lang kay Dilima,
narco-generals.
sa lahat ng mga respondents. Hindi naman tayo magre-request doon. And AMLA will not give us information kung hindi related sa isang drug activities. Sapagkat yan po yung mga predicate crime. One of the predicate crimes, pagdating sa, kung yan ay violation ng Dangerous Drugs Act, hindi na po kinakailangang mag-file ng any court petition. Talagang duty-bound ang AMLA to answer or to reply to any query from the NBI.
Sir, patanong po ni JP Bencito ng Manila Standard, how strong is DOJ's evidence against De Lima? Would it stand in courts even without Ronnie Dayan, or is he really needed to implicate De Lima po?
Katulad ng sinabi ko nina, even without Ronnie Dayan, even without Kerwin Espinosa, I think it is very strong, especially now that Senator De Lima admitted her illicit relationship with Ronnie Dayan. Malaki ang pinagbago nun.
Next question from Cedric Castillo of GMA7.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, sir, yung AMLAC will it be compelled to explain as to why hindi agad na ibigay yung request? And are you confident now, sir, na sa susunod na mga request po mabilis na silang tutugon, sir?
Well, hopefully ganun ang mangyari. And I believe that there's no more explanation necessary. Nandiyan na yan. And so I believe that we have to move forward.
Sir, yung kay Senator De Lima po, the President was asked last night kung may possible implication po yung admission ni Senator De Lima ng kanyang relationship po, yung kanyang kay Ronnie Dayan. And the President answered, and I quote, medyo malayo yun. Your reaction, sir?
Well, baka iba ang pagkaintindi ng Pangulo. Kasi abogado yan, magaling na abogado yan eh. Definitely, kahit sinong abogado ang tanungin mo, at kahit hindi abogado, yung admission ni extrajudicial admission ni Secretary De Lima ay napakalaki ng epekto sa kaso ng against her tungkol sa drug activities at lalong-lalo na doon sa disbarment. Kaya siguro hindi lang baka iba ang pagkaintindi ng Pangulo or hindi niya naintindihan masyado yung tanong sa kanya. But definitely, kahit sinong lawyer ang tanongin mo, napakalaki ng implication niyan or epekto niyan dun sa mga kaso ni Secretary or Senator De Lima.
Yes, sir.
Secretary, clarification lang. Doon sa compliance ng AMLAC, walang specific na ibinigay sila na documentary evidence against Senator De Lima. It's only for the narco-generals.
Wala pa gawa ng nauna yung request na yun. September 19 pa yun eh. So hindi nga sinasagot sa kanila eh. September 19 pa eh. So yung pangalawa yan. So hindi sila nakapag-ask ng further information with respect to the other bank accounts. Napakarami ng bank accounts na yan. Kung babasahin mo yung mga affidavits ng mga inmates, dami. Siguro about 10, more than 10, na doon pinadideposit sa kanila yung lahat ng mga proceeds nung pinagbibili ng drugs sa labas.
So, up to now, the Department of Justice, what do you have is only the testimonial evidence without any documentary evidence against Senator De Lima as of now?
Merong mga documentary evidence actually, yung PDEA at saka yung CIDG with respect to the actuation ni yung Copland Cronus. So they are documentary evidence. But I believe that even without this documentary evidence, dun lang sa testimonial evidence, coupled with the admission of Secretary De Lima, they are more than sufficient to find probable cause.
So, ang status ng kaso ni Senator De Lima as of now, Secretary, kung ayaw magsampa ng Office of the Ombudsman, sabi nyo, at least mayroon kayong concurrent, pwede kayong
Concurrent jurisdiction.
yung jurisdiction ng Department of Justice at saka yung kapangyarihan ng Department of Justice, sapat na po ba yun even without the Office of the Ombudsman to file a case against Senator De Lima?
Ganito po ang mangyayari dyan. Under the law, although concurrent ang kanilang jurisdiction to conduct preliminary investigation, pwedeng magsabay, may isang case na hinihiran ng ombudsman, may mga cases dito hinihiran DOJ. Pero with respect sa DOJ, itong 4 na cases na nasa amin, pagkatapos matapos ang preliminary investigation dyan, meron kaming findings. Under the law, ang may primary jurisdiction is the ombudsman. So what we are going to do is that kung ano man ang findings namin, kung ano man ang recommendation namin, ipapadala po namin yan sa ombudsman na merong primary jurisdiction over these cases. Ito yung mga cases na cognizable by the Sandigan Bayan. Kaya lahat ng cases cognizable by the Sandigan Bayan against public officers are supposed to be reviewed and filed before the ombudsman. So, pagkatapos namin dito, the ball will now be in the court of the ombudsman.
Okay. Next question from Leila Salaveria of Inquirer.
Good morning, Secretary.
Good morning.
Sir, since you said you don't need Dayan to build a case against Senator De Lima, is it not overkill to offer a 1 million reward for his capture, considering that he's only facing an arrest warrant for a contempt citation? Wala pang court case.
Actually, yung whether it's overkill or not, I don't know. Hindi po kami kaalam doon sa pag-put up ng 1 million reward to whomsoever will be able to give information leading to the arrest of Ronnie Dayan. So, hindi naman lahat yan eh. You could not say that's overkill. You could say that these are community efforts to help itong administration of justice, including those proceeding from the Congress of the Republic of the Philippines. Nagkasala po siya, hindi niya nirespeto ang Kongreso ng Pilipinas. So, I believe that he has to answer this. Although, contempt nga lang po ito.
Can I ask another topic?
Last question from Jenny Dongon of TV5.
Good morning, sir. I'm Jenny from TV5, sir.
Ay, good morning.
So regarding po doon sa iginawa na executive clemency kay Robin Padilla, is it final and executory? And last question is, sino-sino pa po, sir, yung mga bibigyan ng executive clemency sa mga preso natin?
Oh, with respect to this kay Robin Padilla, the power of the president to extend pardon or parole to any convicted person is absolute. Nobody could question it. Kaya't itong ginawa ni Presidente, that's final. And nobody could question it. Alam naman natin na tapos na yung panahon ni Robin Padilla when he was a restless soul at the time, several years ago. Pero alam natin, napakalaki ng pinagbago niya. So, I think he deserves this absolute pardon. Now, with respect to the others, I'm not aware of the others who are lined up to be given absolute pardon.
Okay. Thank you very much, Department of Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre II. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you sa lahat sa inyo. Salamat po, Secretary.
Thank you very much. We'd like to thank Secretary Aguirre for gracing our event. So if you have a few more minutes.
Okay. First question from Hannah Jane Sancho.
No, I just want to make several references, and then we actually have only about 3 or 4 questions. We need to cut it short. Thank you. The Trump policy will have minimal effect on U.S.-based OFWs, according to Secretary Bello. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III urged undocumented OFWs in the United States to return to the country amid the threat of massive deportation of illegal immigrants once U.S. President-elect Donald Trump assumes office in January. Without providing numbers, Bello said Trump's policy will only have a minimal effect because since most OFWs in the U.S. are legally employed. The interesting point here is that should the undocumented OFWs decide to come home, Bello noted that the government is ready to provide them assistance, and in his words, ang end program ng ating presidente is to bring back our OFWs. So we already established a mechanism na yung mga businesses and ng mga business and employment opportunities. In the same vein, the BPO sector was also referred to, and the business process outsourcing BPO sector needs to level up by expanding the non-voice component of the industry should U.S. President-elect Donald Trump stick to his campaign promise of bringing back jobs from back to America, according to the National Economic and Development Authority. The spokesperson, NEDA Deputy Director General Rosemary De Leon said, I think our problem has to do with the voice part, kasi English. Therefore, once we lose the U.S. market, the availability of jobs that require English speakers would be few. But with non-voice, like the creatives, this is less sensitive to the language, so pwede tayo doon. So, third reference. Regarding deals with China, the National Economic and Development Authority board chaired by the President approved on Monday the guidelines of the availment of Chinese support for the conduct of pre-investments and investment activities. This set of guidelines, which is the upshot of the investment committee commitments and pledges that were made by Beijing and Chinese business groups during President Duterte's successful official visit to China last month, is designed for better coordination between both parties on the rigid screening of proposed ventures and the judicious use of funds for the projects that are to be eventually approved for the benefit of the Filipino people. This was released in a statement by the DOF. The guidelines aim to improve, streamline, and enhance transparency and coordination when national government agencies, government-owned and controlled corporations, government financial institutions, and local government units seek the support of Chinese banks. The rationale states that there are at least 4 items there that need to be addressed fully. Number 1, the source of financing for pre-investment studies are not tied to a particular country, technology, or lender. 2, that suppliers are qualified and of good standing. And 3, contracts are favorable to the government. In other words, strict vetting will be applied, especially when dealing with companies. Thank you. We'll open ourselves for 3 or 4 questions. We need to leave also.
Okay, Hannah Jane.
Sir, reaction po dun sa sinabi ni sa Senator De Lima, kina-question po niya yung Intel funds ng Pangulong Duterte. Ibigay daw sa Office of the President, ibigay na lang po daw sa ibang agency dahil hindi naman kailangan ng funds ng Office of the President para mag-handle ng Intel. Tumatanggap lang naman daw sila ng report mula sa kanilang Intel.
It's a prerogative of the President to exercise the use of such funds.
Sir, last na lang po. Bibigyan po ba ng, may plano po ba yung Pangulo na bigyan ng government position si Robin Padilla?
Hindi po napag-usapan yun, but it certainly, he can run for office if and when.
Okay,
Other questions?
Leila Salaveria of Inquirer.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
The President said last night he's not a fan of martial law, but it's a contingency against widespread violence.
Right.
Sir, what's the exact what are the parameters or definition of this state of widespread violence that would prompt him to declare martial law?
Well, basically, there are 2 states. There are 2 reasons for that: invasion and rebellion, right? The suspension of the habeas corpus. However, what the statement really comes from, the statement that he made really comes from the fact that he's underlining our awareness and necessary consciousness of the growing impunity, apparent impunity, especially in certain areas of Mindanao, where certain groups actually are traveling already into other areas, for example, threatening to enter Cebu, the Visayas. So basically, what he was doing is that should this escalate and the conditions are set, then he could. But this is simply a warning and just a possibility. This is not an actual statement that says it will happen.
No imminent declaration.
No imminent declaration, unless, of course, suddenly they declare this is area. I mean, if conditions, if the necessary conditions are there, but if and when, and that's really a process that demands a process.
But sir, why does he need to issue these warnings? Are our law enforcers, state forces not doing enough? Or is he dissatisfied with what they've been doing
No,
to
you
contain
need to
this?
understand the leadership style of the president. He creates awareness. That is his manner of leadership. So I think we should need to be able to take that in stride.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Last two questions. Marlon Ramos from Inquirer. Microphone, please.
Good morning, sir. The president last night mentioned that the issue over the Marcos burial is actually a fight between two families. Apparently, he's referring to the Marcoses and the Aquinos. Is the president belittling or ignoring the sacrifices of the martial law victims?
I doubt that. I think basically he's also just highlighting another aspect from his perspective that there's emotion, there's a lot of emotion being emotion and investment, and emotion investment in the situation. But no, he's not at all belittling that. He's simply highlighting another aspect of the issue.
And in another topic, sir,
Yes.
related dun sa sinabi ni Laila kanina, the president has been harping on the word rebellion in Mindanao when he has actually successfully engaged the Miswari faction of the MNLF and now the MILF to talk peace with the government,
Yes.
as well as the communist rebels. Why is he still talking about rebellion? The Maotic group is actually contained in the Lanao provinces. Can you explain?
Basically, I think he refers to, like I said, he was creating not creating, but he was elevating awareness regarding some of the actions of, for example, terrorist groups, basically lawless elements, which actually are being addressed by police action. However, he's saying that that they should not continue in the same vein, because if and when they do that, and should they enter into conditions that that might be qualified as rebellious, then he could exercise suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. However, again, that is a process, and simply what we need to understand is elevating awareness regarding the matter.
Okay.
Thank
Any more questions? Last question? None?
No.
Okay, Leila, follow up.
Another issue, what brought about the president's change of heart on the revival of the BNPP? If you know.
No,
Because he said it won't happen, nuclear power won't happen during his term, and then
basically, I think it was a concern about being able to examine all factors, all possibilities regarding the provision of energy. But he's open to the studies, and I think the studies did show that the Bataan nuclear power plant is standing on the fault line, and so there's very serious concern about that.
okay. Are you saying he may also, because according to the reports, he has allowed the revival. Are you saying he may halt the revival of the plant if
I'm saying
serious
that
concern?
when he said he is open, that means to say that the process continues, and part of the process is the examination of whether it's a viable project or not. Okay.
So it may or may not. I mean, at this point, it's not yet.
The
Set in stone.
reports are not yet in. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, friends from the media. Thank you very much, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
Thank you very much.
Sir. Okay, thank you very much. Back to the main studio of PTV4 and Radio ng Bayan.